What's up, guys? Welcome back here today. Here we got a 2016 Honda Odyssey. We got a big and exciting job here for you today. We're going to be doing the timing belt and the water pump on this one. And first, what we want to start out with, we want to take out the negative cable on the battery terminal. And to do that, first we'll take off this cover here. So you got one clip right there. Another clip right there. Pop that out of the way to get access to the negative battery terminal. And then you got a 10mm nut on top of the terminal. Loosen that up. I'll just put that one to the side. Now we gotta remove some stuff over here on the side to get access. We gotta take out the motor mount later to get access to that whole timing area on the side there. We'll loosen up that bracket. It's a 10mm bolt right there. Computer's gonna have three bolts on it. You got two on the top here, and then you also got one on the bottom. For the bottom one, we gotta take out these connectors. These guys just push the tab, and then push that lever down, and those guys pop right out. Got another bolt right underneath this middle terminal right there. And then after you guys take out that bolt in the bottom, the computer will just slide right out over here. We'll put that one to the side. We don't want to ruin that one. And then we got to take out this bracket here to give us access to this motor mount bolt in the bottom. The bracket's got one bolt in the bottom right there. That's a 10mm. And then it's also got this bolt up here that hooks up the fuse block, and then another one right here. This connector here is clipped on to the bracket. What you do is lift up this tab, just slide that out of the way, and then we'll get that other Be prepared for a lot of bolts to drop down there, so make sure you got a magnet handy. Looks like we got one more hiding behind here. Pull that bracket out, give us access to the motor mount. Took out that other 10mm bolt right there that holds the wire harness in place. And now we're gonna have to take out the mounts. This power steering reservoir, we'll just clip this guy. Push that clip back and then pull that out the way, just so that way it gives us some room. That one's going to be a 17mm bolt. Take that out, put it to the side. Take out the bracket to the ground over here, 10mm. We got two 14mm bolts on top here, on top of the bracket, and then we got another 17 on the back of the mount. One 17 there, and then we actually have two more 17s on each side of that mount. We got one in the back and another one in the front, so we'll pull that bracket out the way. put that to the side, and then we'll get the other. Got all those out. We'll pull out the mount, put that to the side. And you can see now we got all this room here. We're also going to have to pull that bracket out. Then we'll have to take the belt out and the tensioner. While we got the car up here, we'll take out these two 14mm bolts that go through the bracket to the inside of the engine. You guys don't have to worry about jacking the engine up on this one. It doesn't move anywhere. That mount just pretty much holds it from side to side, so you won't get much movement on it when you take this out. Those are in there pretty tight. Make sure you guys eat breakfast today before you tackle this job. Another one on the bottom. We'll get that one out when we lift the car up in the air. But now while we're at it, we're going to get a 14mm wrench and take the belt out. So you stick your socket or wrench on that bolt over there on that upper pulley, push it forward, and that'll release the tension. And then we'll pull the belt out. Make sure you guys either draw your diagram on this one, or otherwise you can look it up on Google. Just look up a belt diagram for 2016 Honda Odyssey, and I'll give you guys the diagram on there. I think while we're over here, what we're also going to do is we're going to take out the bolts for the power steering pump and move that out the way. So that one is just going to be two 12mm bolts. You got one right there in the front, and you got another one in the back. Actually, we might have a third one. We got one more on the bottom here, if you could see that one. The older ones, all they got is 2. Looks like they made this one a little sturdier. We'll get that third one out of here. What we're going to do on this one, normally they slide right on top here and we can put them right on top of the engine. But this one, the pulley gets in the way, so what we're going to do is we're going to take out that pulley. And it's going to be a 17 millimeter or 19 millimeter. You take that pulley out the way and that'll give us some access, leave it on top of the engine here and free up a whole bunch of space for us to work in there. So yeah, once you take out that nut, that pulley just comes out nice and easy. I'll just wiggle that out the way here. I'll just leave it on top of the engine, and now we're free. Next, we're going to take out this 10 millimeter bolt on top here that holds the harness to the bracket. And you know what, while we got the vehicle on top here, we're just going to take out all the bolts that we see on the timing cover. We got the back bank and the front bank. We'll take all the ones we can catch up here, and then the other ones we'll take out when we get to the bottom. Those are all 10 millimeter bolts. They're all the same. You don't have to worry about mixing them up. We're also going to take off this bolt here that holds the harness to the alternator, because this bracket doesn't let us get that one bolt over there. That gives us access to that bolt, other bolt inside there. Another one in this hole here. That's all we can access to the front one without taking out the end or the tensioner, so we'll get the ones in the back. back there. Also the one that goes right through that hole here too. And that's about all we can get on the top here. All the other work we're going to do from the bottom. So we'll lift the car up here and we'll keep rocking and rolling from the bottom. All right, now that we got the car up in the air, we'll have to take out the passenger side tire on it. Not the tire, the actual wheel. Those lug nuts out, we'll get that wheel out. Now we'll have to get rid of some of this plastic covering over here to get into the timing belt area. You guys got a couple clips for this one. You got a clip on the top, clip on the side. Here, that's not gonna come out, so we're just gonna take this out here, take out these couple bolts. We got one there. That one's done, and then we got another one here. And then we got another clip here. Then we got two pluses over here, and that should give us enough room to get this thing out of the way. All right, so after we take all those out, we're just gonna take this guy and flop it right on top of the wheel well area here, and that way it gives us all this access. All right, so next step now is we're gonna take out that tensioner. Tensioner, you got one bolt in the middle, and then you got another bolt right there, and those are both 14 millimeters.
liquid?
No, it's okay. It's just tight. Yeah, this one's a little bit of a long bolt, and it's got a washer behind this. It doesn't come out very easily. But before you guys take that bolt all the way out, take out the nut in the bottom too, because there's a washer behind that bolt on the top there, and we want to take it out with the bolt still in it. We'll take out that nut in the bottom, and then we'll just keep loosening it up until it falls off. All right, so we kind of jumped ahead of ourselves here. What we're gonna do first, make it a little easier, take that tensioner out. We're gonna take out the crankshaft pulley. And this, if you guys don't have the right tools and the bolt doesn't come out quite easy, there's a special tool. There's this guy right here. And this is specifically for Hondas. And you can see it goes right into there. And you hook up a ratchet to this end and just let it lean on the axle over here. And then you get your 19mm socket, put it in there, and then loosen that up. But we're gonna try it, see, most of the time they come out pretty easy. So let's try this one, see what happens. Hopefully we don't have to use the tool. All right, that came out nice and easy. So one important thing to remember is when you guys take out this this pulley, you see there's a pin here in the middle. You got to make sure that you guys don't lose that pin. Some of them are welded on there, but most of them, they just go into the groove, and when you pull this pulley out, that pin sometimes comes out with it. Make sure you guys don't lose that, otherwise you're going to blow up your engine. So the pulley, after you take out the bolt, should just pop right out. The Toyotas are the pressed in ones, the Hondas just kind of come out of place.
Okay.
And then the tensioner slides right out. This came out with the pulley. We'll make sure you guys know where this goes. It falls out. Just take it out and make sure you know which way it comes out. You guys can see on the back it's got the teeth, and that goes on the pulley on the back there. So when you guys put it back together, make sure you put it back together like that. So we'll just put that on the side for now, and then now we can take out the rest of the covers. So we'll just start buzzing away. All the covers in place. Put one more in the corner up there, and that should be it. Drop on the ground, that's a good sign. Otherwise, you guys got to do some digging around. So on this top back bank, you guys got to make sure you get that wire harness unclipped off of the cover. And then this should pop right out. Just take those covers out, put them out to the side. One important thing I want to mention is when you take these covers out, you see here, this is part of the gasket that the head mounts onto the block. If you guys see these hanging down like that, make sure you guys look at it and put this back into place before you guys put your covers in later. Otherwise, you're gonna have a hard time putting that cover in. So this is pretty much our all our timing belt components you guys can see here. Over here, you can see the tensioner started to leak on it. This is all oily. So good timing. So yeah, this one has about 100,000 miles on it. Definitely recommend doing this every 90 or 100,000 miles. You don't want to risk it. You don't want to end up damaging your engine just for a timing belt if you guys plan on keeping hanging out of the car. But yeah, let's get back to work. Next, we're gonna take out this last 14mm bolt that we got on that mount bracket. If you guys want to make sure you don't mess up the order or anything, what you can do is every time you take something out, lay it out on the ground, one right after the other, and you guys go to put everything back together, start from the last one and work your way backwards, and you'll end up all the way at the finish line. So that way you don't have to scramble where this went, which one went first, which one went second. Alright, so now we got this bracket out the way. We're just gonna leave that guy on top. It's gonna be easier to pull it out the top than the bottom, I think. So we'll just leave it there for now. But now comes the most important part. What we want to do is we want to get the engine at top dead center. That way nothing moves when we take out the timing belt, and we can put everything all aligned up where it's supposed to be. And make sure we don't damage any valves and any pistons. So for now, we're gonna bring the car down a little bit. And we're gonna stick our crankshaft pulley bolt back on so we can rotate the engine. So we're gonna lower the car down to like eye level, so that way we can show you guys. If you look here at this pulley, we got a dot right there, and if you look here, we got an arrow. What we want to do is we want to rotate the pulley. Make sure you guys always rotate clockwise. We're going to rotate it clockwise until we line up that dot on that tooth right there with that arrow in the back of the block right there. But also make sure when you guys do this, make sure that your key is in place. Don't do this with the key out of this crankshaft pulley in the back there. So get yourself a 19mm socket and a ratchet. just gonna rotate that until we line up that dot with that arrow. You guys will feel it get a little stiff when you rotate it. That's because we got the spark plug still in place. If you take them out, it'll be a lot easier, but it's not necessary to go through all that. See, we're getting closer and closer. A little more, right there. If you guys look here, there's that dot on the pulley, and there's the arrow in the back, and those are lined up perfectly with one another. But on top of that, we want to bring the car all the way down. And we want to check it on the top too. We got to make sure that our camshafts are at top dead center as well, because it could also be 180 degrees out. So here you guys can see on the camshaft we got different numbers, and that's for each cylinder. So we got number 1, 6, what is that, 3, and so on. So we want to make sure we get the number 1 cylinder at top dead center. And if you look here on the top, you can see our pulley has a little groove on it right there. And if we look in the back of the rear timing cover, we got that groove there. So we want to make sure we line the number 1, this groove here, directly with this groove in the back over there. So you can see this one's pretty lined up. We're just gonna have to rotate it just a little tiny bit, and that's probably just because the belt's been stretched. And then this is our other one on the other side. You can see the groove on the pulley, and you can see that's the only groove on there. We want to make sure we match that up with the groove in the back of the timing cover. Yeah, now that we got this all lined up, if you guys want, if you're not so sure you're gonna get it back into place afterwards, what you can do is you can take a mark and mark the belt here, and mark the belt up here, and mark the belt in the bottom there, mark it on the tooth, on the belt, and on the back of the cover. And then
anything for Riley's going back?
And then that way you guys can take those markings from this old belt and put those on your new belt, and you can put your new belt in the same markings that the old one was in. That way you guys don't screw up the timing. But this one we're pretty confident in ourselves, hopefully, so we're not going to mark anything. And after we put it at top dead center, next thing we want to do is we want to take out the tensioner. The tensioner's got 2 10mm bolts, one on the top, one on the bottom. Honda. Passione entusiasta. This is our old one. Make sure you guys keep the bolts in place. Let's transfer those onto the new one. And next we're going to take out the, we got the idler pulley here, and then we got the tensioner pulley there. Tensioner pulley, we're going to take it out on this bolt right there that comes out as a hole, but watch out, there's a sleeve in the middle of it. Make sure you guys don't lose a sleeve. And that one's just a 14mm bolt right there. Đerđo, to je kako ti škoji čekate. To pitanje da, nije ni kredit kardove. Now we're going to take out the idler and the tensioner. Those are 14 millimeters. Take out the idler pulley for the timing belt. This one's got Loctite on it, so this is going to be a little hard to get out. Now we're going to lift the car up in the air a little bit so we can put our drain pan underneath it. So yeah, if your guys' coolant is fairly new, you don't have to drain it out of the radiator. It just comes out of the water pump area right there when we take out the water pump. Okay, so we got our drain pan underneath the engine here. And now we're going to take out the, he's got 10 millimeter bolts on the water pump. You guys can see it's got a couple here. And then it's got a couple, 3 more on the left side. We'll just take those out one by one.
Good battery but not charged.
Alright, now that we got those 5 bolts out the way, we're just going to get ourselves a pry bar. And we're just going to pop it out a little bit, not all the way out. To get that coolant flowing out. And we'll just grab the top of the water pump pulley. Don't go too crazy because you don't want to break the back of the timing cover here. So little by little, you can see how that timing cover is flexing. until you get enough room in the opening here, and we'll just stick a screwdriver in the top there. Look in the bottom, make sure your pan's catching the coolant, and it is where it's supposed to be. So we'll just pry it open a little bit more just to get some more coolant coming out. There we go, we'll just let all that drip out. In the meantime, while that one's draining out, I'll show you guys here. So for these, we like to use the ASINs. These are original manufacturer for the pumps and the belts. The part number for this one is that. And this comes with the whole kit. This gives us a diagram of the routing of the belt and all the components and the alignment marks. So this is going to be our belt. Put that to the side, and then here's our tensioner. This is going to be our tensioner pulley assembly. There's that. This is going to be our idler pulley. That, and this is going to be our water pump. And that's an ASIN water pump from Japan. So these are the guys that actually make the water pumps for Honda. It's just that for Honda they're going to put the pretty Honda symbol on there. So this is original. If you guys want quality, go with the ASIN. You can see it doesn't have one of those cheap paper gaskets in the back, but it's actually got the rubber one. And then once you guys are all done, they even provide you with a sticker. Put your date and miles on it and stick this onto the engine. So yeah, after all the water, the coolant is drained out of it. You just gotta wiggle that around, it'll come right out. It's got a couple pins on there if it's stuck. Just wiggle it around and see it's got this pin right there. That goes in the block and that'll seize up over time, so just wiggling around and it'll come out. Alright, so now that we got that out of there, we're gonna let this drain a little bit more. And we're actually gonna use a sucker to suck some of this coolant out over there. Alright, now that we got the coolant stopped leaking out of there, we're going to get a dry rag and clean up the surface a little bit. There's no silicone on this or anything, so you don't have to go too crazy with the cleaning. We just want to make sure that it's all dry, so that way our new gasket seals into place and doesn't leak. 'Cause we definitely don't want to do this again if we don't have to. this down a little bit with brake cleaner just to get all the sticky stuff out. And then give it one more wipe, dry it up. Now we can put the new pump on. And we got the 2 bolts on the right and the 3 bolts in the back. Start them all out by hand first, that way we don't strip them. Tighten all those up. That, we're going to put on the idler and the tensioner. The tensioner, you guys want to make sure this is the sleeve that's in the back of it. Take that sleeve out and make sure you guys put it onto the new one. And the bolt right in the front. And that's going to tighten up right on your water pump. Make sure, before you guys tighten it all the way, make sure that it moves freely like that, because that's going to be where your tension is going to go in the back of it, and that's what's going to apply tension to it. So if it doesn't move, then you got a problem. You can tighten that up. And after that, this is the idler pulley. This is the old one. As you can see, the bolt goes in through this side. Transfer the bolt on over to the new one, and then that's going to go right there. Well, this is going to be a tight one, so we're not going to be able to tighten that one up by hand. We're just going to use the air ratchet and then tighten that one up. And when you guys do tighten it though, make sure you guys don't leave the pulley in the back like that and tighten it. Pull it all the way out and leave it on the bolt. Make sure you guys get that one tight. You don't have to go too crazy, but just make sure it's tight. And then now we're all ready for the timing belt. So you can see this one doesn't have any marks. So if you guys want, like I said in the beginning, if you marked your old one, you can put those, line up the old one to the teeth of the new one. And you can mark it where your old one was, and that way you know where each mark goes and you can line it up to the pulley. But this one doesn't have any marks. So if you guys didn't mark it, what we want to do is we want to start out at the crankshaft on the bottom first. Get the belt over that. Make sure your teeth are in place. Get it over your idler pulley. And then after that, we want to put it on this front bank here. Check it over here for slack. Make sure it's tight. So this one's nice and tight. If you guys are off a tooth, I'll show you guys off a tooth is going to look like that. So make sure it doesn't look like that. We'll get that on here where it's supposed to be. Alright, so that's nice and tight. And then after that, we'll go underneath the water pump. And after that, we'll go on this top bank. All right, we got that. It's hard to see over here because it's so tight. We'll just slowly work that into place. Yeah, so what makes this back one a little more difficult is, if you guys see this tab here, it's got one like this in the back of it, so you got to kind of curve it into place and get it in there. And now we got all the teeth where they're supposed to be. And you can see in the front here, we don't have any slack. No slack up here, no slack here. We just got the slack here. This is where the tensioner is going to go, and that's what we want. But to make sure now, before you guys put the tensioner in, make sure that your timing mark lines up here, and this is where it's supposed to be still. Make sure the back is lined up here, and that's where it's supposed to be still. And also make sure down here that lines up with its spot as well. I'll show you guys this one. So this one, focus in on that. So that one's lined up too. So we got all three of our pulleys, camshaft, crankshaft, all lined up. And now we're ready to put the tensioner back on. So we'll bring this back up, put the tensioner on there. All right, here's another look here from the bottom. So this is going to be our tensioner. It's going to mount right here. And it's going to put tensioner on this pulley, and that's what will keep that in place. So here's our new tensioner. Take the bolts from the old one. This pin, make sure you guys don't take this pin out all the way until the end. And this is gonna go in the back here. Line that up. What we're gonna do is, we're gonna start out one bolt first. And this will a little easier, and then we'll push that up, and then we'll line up the other bolt. Push that all the way in, and now you guys can tighten up those 10mm bolts on there. after you guys have that tightened up, if you want, you can double check your alignment marks, make sure everything's in place. Otherwise, if you're sure, you can take this pin slowly out. Sometimes it's a little hard by hand because there's a lot of tension to it, so you can take some pliers and pull it out with the pliers. Alright, and there's that. And you guys can try to push this back, make sure you don't get a messed up tensioner, but with this kit, these are a very nice kit. You won't have any issues with it. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's how you're gonna do the timing belt and the water pump on an Odyssey from here on out. You're gonna take your bracket, put that on first. All right, first things first, take out the crankshaft bolt on there. And if you guys wanna be sure that everything's in place, what you could do is keep your bolt on there and rotate this one 360 degrees and check your timing and make sure that they still line up. If they're out of time, when you put this one marked up with that arrow on top there and the top ones don't line up, then you did something wrong. If they still line up in the same place, then you guys did a good job. And then make sure you guys put this cap back on there. We're gonna leave this out so you can see the teeth grooves in the back. Those are going to go on the pulley in the back. And this is going to go right there just like that. And after that, make sure you guys put everything in, just reverse order how you took it out. So after this is going to be that bracket. It's going to go on there, and then it's going to be the timing covers, and then the tensioner, the crankshaft pulley, and the stuff up on top, and so on. So yeah, it's not too crazy of a job. It's more time consuming than anything. But if you guys are looking to try something brave, go for it. I'm sure you could do it. Just watch this video and follow step by step. You shouldn't have any issues. So yeah, hopefully this video helps you guys out. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your support, like always. If you can, don't forget, give us a like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it. Thank you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.